But back in November, I had the opportunity to travel to Ethiopia, and I was on a tour of ancient cultural and also Christian sites in Ethiopia. So the slide that you see, the next slide there, is a picture of me leaving from the airport, and my brother and his wife, my brother Kimathi and his wife Tosha, were also on the trip with me as well. So we went to several sites. We started out in Addis Ababa, which is the capital of Ethiopia. Then we went to Gondar, we went to Aksum, and we went to Lalibela. While we were in Aksum, we visited one of the most sacred holy sites in Ethiopia, which is the site of the Church of Mary, St. Mary of Zion in Aksum. And this is the site where it is believed that one of the first churches in Ethiopia was in the 4th century. And it's believed that this church houses the Ark of the Covenant. Now, I will let you know that they didn't let us anywhere near that. The chapel where the Ark of the Covenant was very far away. And I'll just back up just a tiny bit. There's a myth that's going around that Christianity is the quote-unquote white man's religion, and that's just not true. There have been Christians in North Africa, Ethiopia, and Egypt since Bible times. There's actually been churches there since the 4th century. And so Pastor George knows a lot about that, but there's great history. So anybody who says that to you, it's not true. I'll show you why. Okay, so that's where we are. So we went to this church here, which was, again, on the site of a church that was built in the 4th century. It was rebuilt in the 17th century. While we were inside the church, one of the deacons read from a Bible that was over 500 years old. So he read from the Bible in Amharic. I didn't quite understand everything he was saying, but Amharic is the native language of Ethiopia. So he read from that Bible. And then one of the other deacons played the drums. And the drums are a part of the regular worship services there in the Ethiopian Coptic Christian Church. If you'd like to see a video on it, of the scriptures being read and also the drums being played, you can go to my Facebook page, and there is a video there of that. So inside the church, there were several frescoes that were there in the church of Christian narratives that we're familiar with. There's one of the crucifixion. There's also one of angels. There's several of angels. There's also a fresco of the first emperor being, I want to say christened, but that's not coronated. Thank you, sweetheart. The first emperor being coronated. And it's believed that the emperors or the royal line is actually descendants of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. So all the people in the royal line are believed to have come from that union. All right, and then there's another one of Abraham and Isaac. And then the resurrection of Christ. There are several frescoes throughout the church. This is a chapel, the chapel where the Ark of the Covenant is believed to be housed. That's the next slide there. And like I said, they didn't let us close to that at all. I have pictures from a distance because they didn't let us close to that at all. The next picture is a picture of some ladies that were sitting in the courtyard outside of the church there. And you'll notice they're all wearing white head coverings because when they go to church, they cover their heads and they tend to wear white on Sundays and on special cultural religious occasions. So then we went also to Lalibela, and Lalibela is another ancient Christian site. What happened was during the Muslim invasion, they built churches out of rocks. They basically built churches underground. The emperor was given a vision by the Lord to make a new Jerusalem. So he went and he built churches literally out of rock. They hewn the churches out of rock. And so there are 11 churches in this site from the Orthodox Christian Church. So you'll see we had to go down, you kind of walk down and you go through this narrow path to get to where the churches are. And of course, after you walk through the path, you have to go take off your shoes. That's the site, the picture of all the shoes there. We're walking the path. And then once you get in the church, because it's hewn from rocks, you can't necessarily put crosses in. So what they did was they made cutouts in the windows of crosses, and the lights shine through into the building. It's absolutely beautiful, marvelous. And so then you'll see more crosses that are there. And then this is a picture of the priest, of one of the priests, and he has on all of his regalia, which has a lot of different significance for various things that he's wearing there. And then this is a picture of my brother standing in one of the doorways, and you'll see the doorway itself is cut out of the rock, and the door is made of wood, which they had to attach to that. This is the courtyard between the churches there, between the rock churches that were there. That's the courtyard. And then, just to give you some perspective in this picture, you can see people are standing at the top, and then the church is built down into the rock there, just to give you a perspective of what it looks like. The next picture there is actually the largest church and the most well-preserved church from the 12th and the 13th century is the Church of St. George. So see, Pastor George has his own church there. The Church of St. George in Lalibela. And this to give you some perspective, where I showed you before, people standing at the top, and that's all the way down into the bottom. The church is cut literally out of rock. So they carved the outside, then went back inside, carved out all the rooms and the windows that you see there. So this is my brother and I and his wife inside. So now we're inside the building, inside the church there. And then this is my brother on the outside, praising the Lord of the building. And this is, we got there, I would say, around 4:50 into St. George's Church. And the church closed at 5 o'clock. So the priest gave us the international sign of let's go. And so we had to leave. But I got a picture. I went back up to the top, and I got a picture of the priest closing up and locking up the building. So this is the priest coming out of the building and closing it up. So this is the church from the top. So from the top, it looks like a cross. So when you're standing above ground and you're looking at it, the church itself is a cross, which is amazing architecture. And this is the sign outside of the church. It says Bet George's, so it's House of George. That's how the church is labeled. And again, like I said, there's 11 churches that are in that area there. And so this is our entire group standing at the top, and you can see the church, the top of the church is right behind us. All the way off to the right, you might see a little dent there. That's actually the path that leads around to the entrance of the church. This is the other half of our group in Addis Ababa before we left, overlooking the city. The last picture there, you might ask me, why are you telling us all this? What does this have to do, with African American history? Well, this is the link. Besides what I said about Christianity not being white man's religion, there is a church in New York called Abyssinian Baptist Church. Have any of you ever heard of Abyssinian Baptist Church? Great. Abyssinian Baptist Church was actually founded in 1808 because some Ethiopian merchants had come to the United States and they wanted to worship. So they went to First Baptist Church in New York City, and they were told, you have to sit here in this segregated section because this is where all the black people sit. And coming from Ethiopia, never having experienced segregation, they were aghast and upset. What do you mean? We came to worship. We want to be together with our brothers and sisters in Christ. So they left. They left the church. And a group of freed African enslaved people who had formerly been enslaved but were free left the church with them. And those two groups together started Abyssinian Baptist Church because they wanted a place where all people could come and worship freely and not experience segregation. So they started Abyssinian Baptist Church back in 1808. And Abyssinian is actually an ancient word for Ethiopia. So that's why they gave it the name Abyssinian in honor of the merchants that helped them, because I'm sure the freed Africans didn't have a lot of money. So the church was funded by those Ethiopian merchants. So in 2008, that church celebrated its 200th anniversary. And now we just had 2018, so that church is 210 years old. And it's been very influential in the community. The pastors there have been congressmen who've passed laws, educators, and so a lot of great people came out of that church and continue to do it. So that's what we do here at Converge Church. We built a place, and we're building a place where all people can come and worship together.
Yes,